Yeah, you're away. Yep, that's it. You're live.
Right, so I can just minimize all that now. And can you see me and can you hear me okay, David?
Yeah, fine, no problem at all. Yeah.
There's nobody else in the waiting room except for Pam Wiltshire. I think should we allow her in first, or should we allow councillors in first? I don't know how would be the best way.
I don't think it would matter. I mean, I can't see Pam in there actually.
Well, I've got Pam Wiltshire waiting room, admit, remove. So that could be.
Well, let her in and that'll be fine.
That could be Councillor Wiltshire.
Could be, yeah.
I've done admit, but nothing's happening.
I don't think she's there.
It says joining on my screen.
Oh, okay, right. Happy days.
Nothing's happening at the moment. Oh, she's disappeared.
Yeah, she's not about. I don't know what's happened there.
She's disappeared. Never mind. We'll just wait.
I've managed to make myself a pot of tea, so I'm all right.
So did I. Cheers.
Cheers. So, let's remember you're live streaming now to YouTube. So when the meeting's finished, just close it down.
Yep.
And you know that little drop down arrow next to where it says live on YouTube at the top of the screen.
Yep. Yep.
Click on there, and then that gives you the option to stop it.
Jeff Mitchell wants to come in. Admit. Joining. They say joining, and then yes, he's here. Good evening, Jeff. Can you hear me?
Just connecting up, I think.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you hear me, Councillor Mitcham?
Hello, Jeff. Good evening to you.
Hello, David. Nice to see you.
Oh, you could hear us. We weren't sure whether you could hear us or not.
No, it's still coming in.
Pam Wiltshire's back on. I'll try again and see whether she admits again.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've admitted this lady once, Pam Wiltshire, and she's disappeared. So hopefully she'll join us again.
She gets trouble with her computer, I think.
Yeah.
How you been, David? Anyway, you all right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine. Thank you very much.
You look healthy, anyway. That's cheerful and sort of.
You've had a haircut.
I've had a summer
haircut. Yes, summer cut already.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Is it the right weather for shearing sheep? That's the thing.
Well, it's up here. It's cold up here tonight, actually.
I bet it is. Chilly as there this morning. It's quite cold this morning.
Yeah, well, we're still getting frosts every night.
We had frost this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to rain tomorrow, somewhere tomorrow afternoon night.
Yeah, they say so, don't they? Yeah.
And the rest of the week, and the week after.
Well, I hardly dare say it, but we actually need a bit of rain.
No, we do, but it's going to be a miserable election, isn't
it? Yeah. I mean, do you think that more people will turn out if the weather's a bit iffy? Because if it's really nice, they'll go to the park.
And have you seen the rules and regulations about the elections? It's a nightmare. I wouldn't even. I suppose people are even going to bother, to be honest.
Yeah.
You've got to bring your own pen.
Well, you see, we haven't got elections up here. Well, we've got police and crime commissioner, but we haven't got anything sort of council-wise at all.
It's one in, one out. Social distance.
Well, it's going to take forever to do if they're only doing one in, one out.
No, it's going to be awful, isn't it?
What do you do when you've got? I used to run. I've run elections, at a polling station for quite few years, and one of the ones that I worked at was a double station.
So I think they're okay with that. I think they do more than one. If it's big enough, they'll do more than one at a time. That's the way of going in and out.
Can you hear us, Linda?
Oh, yes, I can. Thank you.
I didn't see you in the waiting room. I've got.
Yeah, because I've got the Zoom account here as well, so just let me in.
I've got Councillor Wiltshire. It still Pam Wiltshire, not Councillor Wiltshire. It still says he's joining, and I've been doing that for a few minutes now, haven't we, David?
Yeah, I can't see it on this screen here. But I think I don't think they have the best of broadband up there, so I just wonder whether the broadband's dropped off for them.
Could be.
They'll have another go in a minute.
Yes.
How's your wife's guitar playing, David? Is it all right?
So what was that, Jeff?
How's your wife's guitar playing? Is she coming on?
Yeah, she's headed to, is it grade 3 or grade 4? Can't remember now.
Oh, I don't do grades. I just turn the volume up.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, she's kind of eyeing up another guitar, really. I mean, she's got an electroacoustic and an electric.
Mm-hmm.
I think she fancies changing the electric, actually.
What's she got at the moment then?
Squire Stratocaster.
Tell her to get a real one.
Yeah, yeah. What would you recommend?
This normal Stratocaster, you can get quite reasonable second hand.
Yeah,
but an American one, not a Japanese one, American one.
Yeah.
And I've got a Gibson Les Paul as well, so kind of it's a bit more advanced.
Yeah, it'd be nice actually.
But it's so loud I can't play it.
Hello, Ben. Good evening.
Hello, Ben.
That's Adrian. Pam Wiltshire's trying again.
Right.
Kate Drew is trying. We'll let Kate Drew in.
Yeah, that's Melksham Independent News
Right.
as well. It's Joe, actually.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Adrian.
Hello, Adrian.
Hello, David. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm dark again, aren't I?
Yeah. Because you got windows behind you.
I know, but the thing is, I can't have it so that the sun blinds everybody either. All right.
Hello, John. Can you hear us all right this evening?
Yes, and if I unmute myself, you'll be able to hear me as well, I hope.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Perfect.
Good evening, Hugh.
Hi there, all right?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. You can hear us okay?
Yeah, certainly can.
Hi, Joe. Can you hear us all right?
Hiya, yeah, I can hear you. Thanks. You guys all right?
Yeah, we're
Yes,
fine.
thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Hello again, Hugh.
Oh no, not still. Right, that's worse. I've got a blank box of somebody.
Joe McCann's just
It's just turned his video off.
turned it off for a moment.
No, I've got another black box as well,
Oh,
without
yeah.
a name or anything. But never mind. I'm sure it'll.
All right.
I haven't got one here.
No, I can only see 9.
Yes,
No,
I can
I've
only
got-
see 9.
I've got one as well.
Yeah, I've got a blank box.
There's definitely 10 on mine, and the final one.
We
blank.
have had Pam Wiltshire trying to join, and it just keeps saying joining, and nothing's happened for quite some time.
We've got loads now.
Hello, Miriam.
Hello, Miriam.
Hello, Miriam. Hello, Councillor Welch. Can you hear us okay? Councillor Watts is here.
Oh.
Hello, Tony. Good evening.
Hello, David. How are you?
Oh, fine. Thank you very much. That's your sound check done.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're fine. Thank you.
Terry's got half a face.
She's got the sun.
I know.
Hello, Pat. Good evening.
Hello, everybody.
Hello again.
Galaxy A52017. Does anybody know who that is?
No, sorry.
Shall we ask them to?
I haven't got that. Where's that?
It's in the waiting room trying to come in. So shall I admit this person or shall we?
They should say who they are.
We can ask them who they are when they come in.
So shall I admit them and we'll ask them who they are?
Yeah, I think I would. Hello,
Okay.
Vanessa. Good evening.
Hi.
Hello again.
Oh, David, you got a haircut. I'm getting one this Thursday.
Not
Shall I get
as short as mine, I hope.
Hi. Pretty long. Look at that.
Hello. Is that Councillor Wiltshire, Galaxy A5217?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
Okay.
I can't get in on the computer. Are you having problems at the moment?
We can see you and hear you, Pam.
We can see
Yeah,
you
I
and
can't
hear
get
you,
on
okay.
the full bit, so I'll leave Richard to go away on my phone. I can't get on in the. Okay, you'll have to bring the other one. It's on, not on mute.
Councillor Sankey's just coming in.
Right, is it 7 o'clock yet, Linda?
Yes, I make it just gone 7.
It's a minute past.
Right, okay, we'll start the meeting then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the extraordinary full council meeting. Do we have any apologies, Linda?
Have we got any public participation?
Oh, sorry, public
Double check.
participation. Does who have we got?
No, it doesn't look like we do.
Does
No.
Pam want to say anything?
No, I think we can go on, Pat.
Okay, right. Apologies.
I haven't had any.
We had
Apart from-
apologies from, sorry.
Hayley?
Councillor Illman, yeah.
We'll do a video in a minute.
Right.
Councillor Brown
We
sent
did have,
apologies as well.
yes.
Right. Okay. Declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest to make on any of the items on the agenda tonight? No. Okay. Thank you. Right. Minutes of the previous meeting held on the 22nd of March. To confirm is correct. Do I have a proposer and a seconder for that? Anybody got any issues with any of the items?
Yes, so items are not correct.
Right, Richard, you have something to say. Please carry on.
The where it says unanimous on the audio video item, it wasn't unanimous. I voted against it, and Sue Brown abstained.
What item was that?
I think it was
91.
Was it 9221? I think it was it not?
Yeah.
Oh, the audio visual, yeah, it wasn't a unanimous decision.
No.
So if you just make that when they're approving the minutes, make it clear, yeah.
Okay, is there anything else, Richard?
That's it, thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, right, I'll propose then that when they're corrected, they are, I'll propose them as full minutes. And who's seconding, please? Thank you, Jeff. Right, all those in favour? Thank you.
Go on this one, but I can't change the camera.
Right, okay. Item 4, committee minutes. What's the best way of doing?
Sorry, Pat.
Well, yeah.
I just, butt in. There isn't Town Mayor's announcements on here, but I would just like to make members aware that the neighbourhood plan has been approved to go ahead for a referendum in July, and we've now received our referendum version of the neighbourhood plan, which will be advertised on the Town Council's website.
Thank you, Linda. That's great news. I'm sure we'll all agree. Adrienne, would you like to speak?
Only to say I'm really, really pleased that this has happened. And I did receive confirmation from the parish clerk today that in actual fact the neighbourhood plan has been cited in a planning application at Townsend Farm that has been refused, and the neighbourhood plan has been one of the major reasons why it's been refused. So I think it's really incumbent upon us all to be going out there with the referendum on July the 1st to make certain that we get the neighbourhood plan through, because it's really good news that one application has been rejected because of it. Thanks.
Yes, that's terrific. It's working. It's working already. It's really been worth the effort, and what an effort it was. Yeah, right. Okay. Committee minutes. Asset Management Committee to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of March. Okay, I'll propose them as a true record. Has anybody got any issues, Tony, or are you seconding?
No, I'll second that, please.
Thank you very much. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 4.2, Economic Development and Planning Committee to receive the minutes of the 9th of March. Do you want to say anything, Adrienne?
No, not at all. Just
okay. Do you want to propose them?
I'll propose them happily, yeah.
Okay, I'll second. Right, all those in favour? Thank you. And additional documents. What's this bit? Why is that there, Linda?
Additional documents. Where are you?
Where are you?
Item 4.2, additional documents, then the end of it. Minutes Public Pack, Economic Development Planning Committee. Why is that there?
I haven't got that. I've got...
You're receiving the minutes of the Economic Development Planning Committee meetings held on the 9th of March and the draft minutes of the Economic Development.
Oh, right. Sorry.
They're not signed. They're unsigned minutes for the 30th. Yeah.
I think I might have signed those and sent them back to you in the post.
They probably haven't been signed and approved at the...
No, you wouldn't have had a copy of them.
Because you haven't had one since the 30th of March.
Oh, no. Right. Okay. Okay.
So you're approving the minutes of the 9th of March, which are approved and signed, and the draft minutes, or you're receiving the draft minutes for the 30th of March.
Righty ho. So is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Right. Item 5, subcommittee minutes. So we've got HR committee of the 23rd of March to receive the draft minutes. So is that just noted, or do I have to
just have a resolution? You're just receiving those minutes.
Just receiving those, right? 5.2, the King George V subcommittee to receive the draft minutes of the subcommittee held on the 17th of March. Okay, they're received. Right, Methuen Play Area lease. To discuss the terms of the Methuen Avenue lease and consider the recommendations in the report prepared by the assistant to the town clerk. Do you want to speak about that, Linda?
No, I think the report's quite self-explanatory. We just need members to go with the recommendations.
Right, okay, well, I'll propose that then. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Adrienne or John.
Chair, sorry, no, I was asking because the recommendations have got an either or clause in them.
Yes.
So we can't just receive the recommendations. We've got to pick whether we're taking 4.2 or 4.3.
Yeah.
Sorry, I read all this a long time ago and I've forgotten what it was all about, and I haven't printed it all off. Linda,
so I would like to propose, if I could, Chair, that we ask the town clerk to try and negotiate 4.3.
Yeah.
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 Because
it gives us 6 months' notice instead of 1 month's notice in the event of them wanting us to hand the field back.
Right, okay.
If we have 1 month's notice, we wouldn't have time to clear it of play equipment.
Oh, all right. Tony?
I think if a landlord wants to recover possession of a property which is protected by the Landlord Tenant Act 1954, he has to show the due grounds. Now, there's been some suggestion that this site might be a development site, but my understanding is that the landlord would have to show now, at the time of the negotiation of the lease renewal, that he is in a position to go ahead with the development. So I think it's a bit of a try on actually by the landlord. If he's not yet in a position or can prove that this is a development site, he's trying to insert a break clause into the lease, which I don't think he can justify. So I think we need to go back to the solicitors and just ensure that they have seen evidence that the landlord is able to show that this is a development site. And if they can't do that, then we should say, no, we want a lease on the same terms as before.
Right. This is
Sorry, I've befuddled everybody with that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
When I go back to Roger Taylor at Headley's, I can raise that issue. I'm sure he knows that clause or that act.
But otherwise, of course, we should be looking for as long a notice period as we possibly can negotiate. So, at least 6 months, I would have said.
John?
Well, just to say that, of course, additionally, paragraph 3.1 in the report does identify that an application to register the land adjacent to the play area as an asset of community value has been prepared. Yeah. Can I just ask, can we not include the area that the play area is as part of that land that's an asset of community value?
Yes, because that's fundamental to the community value.
I'm sorry, Linda?
Yeah, because that's fundamental to the fact that it plays out that it is a community asset. So, yeah.
So what's the timeline for us getting that submitted to Wiltshire Council?
I'm not sure where Patsy is with it, so I'll need to double check with her. I'll find out where she is, and it should be submitted at PDQ, really.
Wonderful.
Right,
perhaps when it's submitted, could we get something circulated to councillors just so that people are aware
that it's been submitted?
Yeah.
Sorry, so what action do you want us to take tonight then, Linda?
Right, so I think you definitely need to say that you need 6 months in order to, if you have to remove any play equipment or get the land ready to go back. Obviously, I'll progress or find out where we are with the register to make it a community asset. So do you propose we go ahead with the renewal of the lease with, say, the 6 month termination clause? That's what I think council wants to do or should do.
Yeah. Okay, right. Well, I'll propose that then. Do you want to second it, John?
I just did, Chair.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Right, okay, all those in favour? Thank you, everybody. Right. Where are we now? All right, okay. Item 7, decision on future council meetings, report of the town clerk. Okay. Linda, do you want to speak on this one?
This is just for members to decide how they want the council to meet in the absence of any ruling from the High Court on whether or not we can continue with virtual meetings.
I've got item 7 first. Have I got the wrong agenda?
No, that is item 7.
Oh, I've got audiovisual.
Audiovisual microphones for meetings.
Yeah, actually, yes, I did ask for that to be considered first because obviously that's fundamental to how the council meets.
Oh, right, okay. So
so that report's been prepared by David as agreed by council.
So shall we hear what David's got to say first and then decide on the future of the council meetings? Okay, David.
Yeah, decide on David's report, then we'll consider the future council meetings.
Right.
Chair, could I just ask before we hear David's report, if Councillor Wiltshire wants to tell us more about his idea of megaphones instead of spending the appropriate amount of money on what we actually require?
He's gone. He's not on. Where are you, Richard?
Convenient.
All right, let's leave that. He can come in later. Right, David. You're on mute, David, or at least I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had a printer running in the background. Right, if you recall, on the 22nd of March, at full council resolved to seek a new AV system for our meeting rooms, and to a maximum budget of £28,000, which would be delegated to the authority of the town clerk to procure. I've drawn up a brief for the new system and looked at the market for potential suppliers and distributed the brief to 3 such businesses. And what we found is that we've had no response from the first business. The second business withdrew because of work pressures, which wouldn't allow them to install equipment in our timescale. The third business explored a range of options and got in touch with us to discuss them. But the costings was way outside of our budget. I mean, significantly. So you're talking of a factor of a double and more. So you know they couldn't meet our budget requirements for that. So I started looking to see what other councils roundabout were doing, and I had, through an introduction from the town clerk, had a chat with Trowbridge Town Council, and they were interested in what we were doing. They haven't got the type of equipment that we have resolved in this council to procure, but are very interested in what we're doing, as are a lot of other councils roundabout. And they suggested talking to their audiovisual suppliers, Status Audiovisual of Chippenham, which I did, and they are the company who have brought forward the 3 options which I put in the appendices to the report. Before we look at the options, I think the greatest risks to this are that this is an emerging technology. It is possible that new lower cost systems will be developed over time, depending on what the government's determination on the matter is, because suppliers are apparently becoming quite aware that a lot of the smaller parish councils will need systems that they haven't got the budget to put in the type of systems currently available. So really what it comes down to, looking at the appendix, if I can draw your attention to this is really handy, it hasn't printed off on here. Hold on a second, let me just scroll down the screen. Yeah, if I can draw your attention to the Appendix B, which is the tabular evaluation of the system options that has come from Status AV. What has emerged from this is that there is a compromise decision to be made by this council. Status have come up with 3 options. Option 1 and option 2 are portable, but relatively complicated in their deployment. So it would take longer more staff time to deploy them. The precision of the deployment to make the cameras work would be quite exacting. The video quality would not be as good as it would be in option 3. And the cameras and the microphones are not as flexible for the type of meeting room that we have. So, for example, for option 1, the participants would all have to be within 5 meters of either camera, and a lot of microphones would be required in order to make the system work. Option 2 gives us a little bit more flexibility, but is still not good in terms of the time taken to set the equipment up. Whereas option 3, and this is the one that I think I would suggest that you consider strongly, the compromise in option 3 is that the system is fully installed. Now that has benefits and it has disadvantages. The benefits are that you can walk in, flick a switch, and the system works. And when you walk out, you simply switch it off. With the other 2 options, then it is to set up, and it is to break down and strip out again. With option 3, the fully installed option, the microphones are up in the ceiling, so they are very discreet, and the system allows the room to be used for other purposes. And there's no particular requirements in the seating arrangements of a meeting, in that for a camera to track a particular speaker, they don't have to be in a particular place. It makes life an awful lot easier, not only for the people installing it, but also for yourselves, so that you're not actually sat in a specific geographical location in a room for the camera to show on you when you speak, when live streaming to YouTube. All the systems will live stream. All the systems will allow hybrid meetings, in as much that some people could come in via Zoom and integrate themselves into the meeting, which makes it future-proof. Depending on what the government decides to allow councils, it covers, as far as I can see, all the bases that are on the table. The problem will be is the time taken to set up and the precision needed to set up portable systems, and the fixed system will be so much easier time-wise. If you have a look on the final page of the appendices, you'll see the type of camera, which is that white tile in the center of the roof. Now we might need 2 of those. So microphones, sorry. So you can see that they are very discreet. And the room can be used for any other purpose it is being used for currently or is planned. And the only thing that would impact on the room is that microphone in the ceiling. So that appears to be a good option for your consideration. And at the price that has been quoted by Status AV, it would come in at about 27% below the budget that you resolved at your last meeting.
Right. Okay.
I think that's the key thing, Chair.
Right. Okay. So would you recommend that the 3rd item is the one that would be suited, not just for now, but would be good for the future? I mean, bearing in mind that at the moment we don't know if we can still resume face-to-face meetings, but it would take time to set up anyway, wouldn't it? And then I'll let John speak, but I've got a question to ask John as well.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, Chair, I think option C is a good option, but it entails the compromise that it is a fixed system. The only thing I would suggest is that if it is a fixed system and it allows a hybrid meeting, then the members of the public, I would suggest, are less likely to come to a physical meeting because they can watch it on YouTube. If they want to simply observe, they can join Zoom if they want to participate, and if they wanted to actually physically be present, it is not stopping them. But what I'm saying is the likelihood of getting large numbers of the members of the public becomes diminished, which makes life a little bit easier. If we ever were in a meeting situation where we were significantly visited by large numbers of members of the public, for example, a planning application or something, there's no reason why we couldn't live stream a meeting in the town hall onto YouTube and then play YouTube out in the assembly hall.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which would get around, because the trouble is you never know how many people are going to turn up to a meeting. No. But that would give us yet another option.
Right. Okay.
And I'll be honest, I have yet to find evidence of any instance where we've had to use the Assembly Hall for a large council meeting. I know things have changed, life has changed a bit, but these other measures that we put in allows us to mitigate against that. So if we put a permanent system in, then we can, we have other options open to us.
Right. Okay. Well, I can remember one very crowded planning meeting, or one or two, but they're quite the exception to the rule. John, just so that I could got something to compare this to, the system we've got at County Hall is a fixed system, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Right. Okay. You wanted to speak.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. David, thank you. This is a really helpful report. And it makes sense what you've said and what you're recommending. Can I just clarify a couple of details, if I could? The first one was I was a little confused on the costings, because in some places it's referring to different figures and rental. Is the prices for the three options on the page 10 of the supplement that we've got, the one with the ticks on?
Yeah.
Are those the cost to purchase the system and have it installed?
Yeah, the system would be owned by this council, and it would cover installation, supply of goods, installation of equipment, and any trainings needed by staff to operate it.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. So second question is just a couple of questions about when we would be using it. So if we were running a hybrid meeting, and I think the good thing about this, all three of these options, is that hybrid meetings are possible, because I think that they're not only going to be with us in the short term, I think they're going to be with us in the long term. Because I think what's become clear is that people are more likely to participate and watch from home than they are to come into the town hall. And personally speaking, I think if we can do anything that facilitates residents being able to participate or engage in the council business, we ought to do that. So long-term hybrid meetings should be as much an option as well, should be an option that we do. So saying that, if you're running a hybrid meeting, then some people are going to be joining and they're going to be being shown on a screen somewhere.
Yep.
Now, the council has the big TV, for want of a better word, the big screen that we've got in the hall upstairs. So I'm assuming that what we'd have to do is put that on the wall behind the top table up as high as possible, so that all councillors, and if and when we have public seating back in again, public seating, would be able to see that screen. Bearing that in mind, would we be able to, with these options, have a repeater screen on a monitor or laptop monitors facing towards the top table? Because otherwise, whoever is running the meeting and the clerk of the meeting will have the stuff behind them, and they'll be spending all their time doing that. Yeah. So it's just a secondary monitor in front. I assume that would be, because it's only splitting the video signal and putting it on there, but I assume that would be possible.
I don't know for sure, because I haven't asked the question, but as you're suggesting, I would suggest a simple video splitter.
Yeah,
there'll be a way to do it. I'm quite sure about that. Whether there'll be a cost in splitting the video signal, but it's going to be fairly marginal.
It's 20 quid, so and then a monitor, so you've got 100 quid all told. Yeah, okay. And the no, that answered both the question you had on that. You answered the point about a hybrid meeting, so that you can have a Zoom meeting with some people there and some people distant. So in which case, I mean, look, there's three options on the table, and I'm sure people are going to want to talk about them, but I think the sensible thing to do is to follow your advice and to go with option 3. It's good news, it's come in cheaper than the one that was talked about at our last meeting. Whether we could have that in time for the first meeting of the new council, I'm not sure. But perhaps with necessary encouragement, they might be able to do that. But I think that would be a critical thing to understand for when that first meeting will be taking place.
Yeah.
But I'd like to propose that it's in line with the budget council has already agreed. So I'd like to propose option 3.
Yeah,
thank you, Chair.
Thank you. David, would you like to just quickly answer that question about the time scale? And then I'd like to know if anybody else wants to ask a question or say anything.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, right.
Yeah, I've asked a question and they tell us that either option 1 or option 2, the equipment is more or less off the shelf, and said, surprisingly, it is all readily available. We can just go pick it off, put it in. It could be installed easily for the 17th of May. Option 3, there's a certain amount of build in it and installation. So, for example, they would need to be in the town hall roof to bring the cabling down to the ceiling. They said realistically 3 weeks we're looking at, which is really, really, really tight. Which is why I asked them for an equipment hire option, because if we're going to have our first meeting, we could, for example, hold it in the assembly hall if we wished, if we think it's going to be busy. And we could bring an equipment hire in, which is going to be, depending on how many cameras we would want in terms of what quality of video we would want. You're talking about £900 for them to come in, to install it, to operate it, and to de-rig it afterwards.
Right.
We can pull the cost down, but the image quality would drop because you only perhaps have 1 camera rather than 2 or 3. So that's the sort of cost we're talking about. And if at some point in the future we wanted a meeting in a third-party location, assembly hall or elsewhere, then we could hire equipment in at a cost of about £900 a shot.
Right. Another little question for John. When we have area board meetings in a public place, is that the sort of equipment that David's just been talking about that you can put up and take away again?
Yes, but the area board meetings don't have any visuals, so they're audio only.
Oh, right.
And they don't stream out. So all we have for area board meetings is wireless versions of the microphones like we currently have in the town hall.
Right.
But it is interesting to note that there are 2 wireless kits for area boards at Wiltshire Council. Just to contextualise all of this cost-wise, if I might, Chair, there are 2 wireless kits for area boards at Wiltshire Councils that get shared around the whole council, basically one for the north, one for the south. They were replaced before the 2017 elections, and the total cost for both sets of wireless microphones was in the region of £42,000, because the funding for that got taken out of the area board budget.
Right.
So every area board had to put in about £2,500 towards the cost. So in terms of the cost of equipment, and one of the things that we need to remember when we're looking at this cost and saying, oh my God, this is a nightmare, how could we justify this? Well, we agreed it last time anyway, but also we're going to need to replace the Bosch microphones we've currently got. We know that, we've all agreed that, and wireless ones to replace those will cost as much as what option 3 will cost for a proper streaming audio visual system. It seems to me to be a no-brainer.
Okay, right. Mike, and then Tony, and then Vanessa.
Thank you, Chair. To be fair, I think Linda wanted to speak, and I think Tony was before me as well.
That's all right. I'll let councillors go first, and then.
Right.
Yeah,
okay, right, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Chair. A few things occur to me. Firstly, we've only got 1 supplier quoting at the moment. Secondly, it is quite a large sum of money, and I take on board the point John just made regarding that. And thirdly, it's relatively quick lead times. So it is my view that this item should actually be deferred to the incoming council next month and enable them to make the decision on this.
Okay, right. Tony?
Can I just ask David about cameras? Where would the cameras go with option 3, and how are they focused on the person who is speaking?
Well, the focusing will be by camera tracking. The microphones will be linked to the cameras by a tracking system. So when a person speaks, the cameras turn around and focus in on them. Quite where they would go,
where are the cameras put?
That's a good question. I am not 100% sure. They must be up in the ceiling somewhere.
Okay.
I don't. The answer is I'm not 100% sure. This all came in very late on Friday, so we turned it around. But I mean, if it's all fixed, the cameras must be fixed somewhere, and the only place that can be fixed is up in the ceiling. And this has been prepared on the basis of a site visit by the company concerned.
Right.
So it's the only place that can go.
Thanks, Dave.
Right. And was there somebody else? Terry.
David, you said when you were talking about it that the cameras were in the ceiling.
Yeah, so the microphones are in the ceiling. I can tell you.
Oh,
that.
sorry, my apologies.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's all.
And Vanessa, that's who I was looking for. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Just still waiting for a response from Richard about his idea about these megaphones and how they would possibly work as well. Or can we assume that he understands that that idea is not actually going to work?
You're on mute, Richard.
There you are.
Ah, good.
His microphone's not working.
Oh, it is now.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Vanessa was asking what the megaphone system was, and it's only, if we went for that, it would cost less than £300. Each council would have their own personal megaphone, officers would have a megaphone, and a megaphone could be handed to any member of the public who wanted to be present. This would be a very cheap option, and it would be COVID compliant. But David hasn't examined this yet, so we haven't got any report on this.
Okay.
The other thing is, some of us are totally against spending so much money on this system. It is, in the short term, it's very unnecessary, and very few people would want to watch or would be wanting us to spend so much money so that one or two people could watch this at home. I think it's totally ridiculous, and most ratepayers would be totally against this. And I support Councillor Sankey's view that any decision should be deferred, so that it is deferred until the new council is in place.
Right, thank you, Richard. Adrienne's got a hand up, and then Terry.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Richard if he's ever heard of the Disability Discrimination Act, whereby putting a megaphone to your mouth would mean that anybody who is deaf would not be able to lip read, which would be an infringement of the DDA, which I think is rather serious, particularly in 2021, when we should be making our council inclusive to all people, whether they are hearing or non-hearing. And in actual fact, what you are doing is excluding a major group of people who might have hearing difficulties by putting something over their mouth so they can't lip read. I think it is probably one of the silliest suggestions I've ever heard. And in actual fact, if you read the two comments that were on the Wiltshire Times report, they did ask Richard what century he thought he was living in, and I'll just leave it at that.
Right, Terry?
On the same line as Adrienne, I wasn't thinking of lip reading, but can I assure anybody that the system that is there at the moment is totally inadequate? I struggle to hear people, and certainly the public, say they cannot hear the councillors speaking.
I'd just like to comment that I thought the whole idea was to include as many of the public as possible in whatever way we can, but I'll leave that for others to make the point. John.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I couldn't find my own mute. Well, I couldn't find the map. Anyway, Chair, I just wanted to reiterate one thing that I said earlier, because I think that we've got to be careful we don't end up thinking we're making a different decision than we're making. Council, first of all, Council's already agreed the money, so we're coming in now under budget. We don't need to debate the money. We've had that debate. But secondly, Council has already recognised, and Councillor Welsh's comment there, that as someone who relies on the loop system built into the current microphones, that they don't do the job properly. We've already recognised we need to replace the existing microphones. The evidence presented to us over the last couple of meetings by the officer, by David, has been that the cost of just microphones, and this is backed up by what I know and I've reportedly paid at Wiltshire Council, the cost of just microphones is basically in the same ballpark as the cost of these
whole
systems that we're looking at here. So we're not looking at, with this system, a super inflated cost above what we would have to be spending anyway in order to have a sound system that enabled everybody to be able to participate in the meetings. What an audio-visual system such as we're talking about would enable us to do is to be able to have hybrid meetings forever, so that we would be able to include residents, but also when we're wanting to do, for instance, have a consultant give us some advice on a matter. You know, let's say the amount of work we've done with place consultants for the neighbourhood plan. What if we wanted to hold a meeting and instead of paying for those consultants to have to travel to Melksham to talk to councillors and then go back again, which will probably more than double the cost of their attendance at the meeting, because you've got to pay their travel time as well as travel costs. What you can do is set up a hybrid meeting so the councillors are in the chamber and the consultants are on the Zoom link and happy days. And even then, if it's not a formal council meeting, subject to whatever the legislation is, I'm assuming we will have to go back to councillors being present for formal council meetings in due course. But if it's not a formal council meeting, we might even be able to hold working group meetings, training sessions or whatever, with councillors being able to connect in remotely.
Yes.
Yes.
What we're going to do, if we put this in, is facilitate involvement for councillors, for third parties and for residents. And it can only be good news, and it's at basically no more cost than buying new microphones anyway. And very last point, and then I promise I'll shut up. If we decide to kick this down the line, all we are doing is delaying a decision that needs to be made and making it very, very difficult for that first new meeting of the new council to take place.
Yeah, thank you, John. Tony and then Linda.
Can I just ask David, are we sure then that this system, option 3, does do what the existing audio system does, which effectively is the microphone, a big speaker, which is in front of each councillor? It obviously is a microphone, and then it amplifies that so that each person in the room can easily hear what's being said, because it's got a speaker in it which broadcasts to you. So I think we need to ensure that this proposed option 3 does actually do that.
Yeah, if you, I'm looking at this grid, this tabular assessment, and with option 3, which is the option that we're looking at, speakers are included in it.
Excuse me, David. Bruce, could you go on mute, please?
Sorry.
Thank you. Right, David.
Yeah, so with if you look at the tabular format of the options, option 3, which is the one that you are discussing at the moment, speakers are included in that. The cheaper options are simply incoming audio only. So
yeah, I just sorry to interrupt. It's just you said that the only piece of kit was that thing in the ceiling. So,
Well,
you know, if there are speakers, I think we just need to make sure that what we're buying is actually what we want, and does give that really good audio, which is going to be required, particularly for members who have hearing issues.
Yeah, I've explored that with the contractors, and they said they would fix 2 external speakers in the room, which link up to the microphone system. So there's for option 3, there's definitely speaker audio.
Right. Okay. Thank you, David. Linda.
Yeah, can I come in?
Can you just hang on a minute, please, Richard? Was that Richard?
Yes.
Yeah. Let Linda speak, please. She's waited quite a long time, and then Terry, and then yourself.
I just want to sort of like maybe put some context into this. There are 2 separate issues which are inextricably linked. Council made a wish that it wanted to continue live streaming its meetings when they went back to being live, face to face. At the same time, the microphone system is dilapidated, outdated, and it's of no use anymore, and it needs to be updated. So the 2 need to work together. So that's why we are where we are. The council wants to continue live streaming, and it needs a better microphone system. Add into that mix the fact that we've got COVID-19 and we have to make sure meetings are safe. Every single person attending that meeting has to have their own microphone. Equally, each member of the public who needs to speak, we either need to make allowances for cleaning microphones in between each member of the public speaking. So we would be upgrading our microphone system anyway, because we need to, even if we had not had COVID, but because of the fact we've got COVID, it's sort of like brought it to the fore. The live streaming again is a wish that this council wants. My only question is that the first meeting on the 17th of May, my fallback plan at the moment, because we're still waiting for the High Court decision on whether virtual meetings can continue. So I'm assuming the worst, that they won't extend the legislation, and have already arranged that the Assembly Hall is used as a meeting venue, because the Local Government Act 1972 will not allow us to turn members of the public away. So what we have to do is enable a meeting where the public who want to attend, all councillors and all officers are safe, socially distanced, adhering to all the COVID guidelines. So if the system is fixed, are they going to fix it in the Assembly Hall and then charge to move it to the Town Hall when we eventually can relax the COVID-19 regulations? That's the issue I can see at the moment. I'm not sure, and I didn't get a chance to ask David today, sorry, and it just sort of like clicked a bit more as we were all discussing this.
Okay, David, you can answer that one, and then I'll move on to Terry, and then Richard, and then
right.
And then I'd like to wrap it up after that, please, because otherwise we'll be talking about this all night.
Right, the system is fixed. If you go with option 3, the installation would be invasive in as much that either the cabling would come through the loft space and down through the ceiling, or on surface ducting in the main room of the town hall. So practically, to put it into the Assembly Hall and then move it across is not really a practical option, which is why I asked for an indication of what it would cost. Should we have to hire a separate piece of equipment or equipments for meetings in third-party locations? So if and to be honest, we could make this call, I guess, nearer the time. If we have to meet physically, and it's got to be in the Assembly Hall, then I would suggest the best option is to hire the equipment for the Assembly Hall, which would give us a little bit more time to get the setup right in the main hall of the town hall. Or alternatively, if the decision from government is that hybrid or virtual meetings are still permitted, then that gives another scenario to consider. But I think to put the equipment in one venue and then move it out and put it into the other would be counterproductive cost-wise. It would be cheaper simply to hire the equipment in, and that's why I got that quote.
Right. Okay. Thank you, David. Terry.
Thank you. It's good to hear these things. I mean, we've obviously all waiting for government to finally make a decision on future meetings. But some time ago, I spoke to one of Trowbridge councillors who said that they had dealt with this company in Chippenham and their mics had, they were very, very good, and they each had a speaker in them. They said, but this was the advantage because every individual person could ramp up the speaker to their requirements. And I don't know how long they'd had it in, but they were very pleased with it there. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Richard.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm having trouble with Zoom.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't accept that we have had a report on the megaphone system, which would comply with the COVID regulations. And David hasn't investigated this thoroughly. And I don't accept Adrienne's comments that people who can only are totally deaf would not be able to understand what was going on, because you know, they're going to have that problem anyway, whatever system you have. The other issue I would like to take up with against is Councillor Hubbard seems to think we should be congratulating ourselves on having a report which is below the 28,000 budget. I don't think it's substantially below, and it would still be an incredible cost on our ratepayers to fund this dubious system. And I would like to support Councillor Sankey's proposal that any decision is deferred for consideration by the new council and not set in motion by this council when so many members will not be returning. So can I ask Councillor Sankey if he wants to make a friendly amendment to include that proposal, or does he want to second it? I'm prepared to second it for him.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to submit that as a proposal, because, as I said, the main concern for me is that we've currently only got one supplier quote in front of us. So I would like to propose that it is deferred to the incoming council to provide time for additional quotes to be found, and if in the meantime we have to go ahead and hire the equipment for the Assembly Hall if legislation dictates that's what we need to do.
Right, okay, thank you.
Can I point out that I made a proposal when I spoke at the beginning, so you've got to deal with my proposal before you deal with Ed, or you've got to, will have to be an amendment to my proposal.
Right, David, and then we'll sort out proposals.
Chair, if I could.
Oh, sorry, Vanessa, I forgot about you. Sorry.
Right. I'll quickly say this. Richard, first of all, David doesn't need to produce a report on megaphones because that was not a resolution of the council, and he doesn't answer just to one individual councillor. He answers to the entire council. Secondly, the reason why we're not going to look at ideas of a megaphone is because, and I'll say it because everybody else is thinking it, it's a stupid idea. So can we just crack on and vote?
Right, thank you.
Can I just come back? The stupid idea is spending this amount of money on a system which may not work.
Yeah, I think you've made that quite clear, Richard. Thank you. David.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Final word on the issue of costed quotations. I went out to 3 suppliers, of which those 2 have come back. One saying that they could not submit a quote for installation anywhere near the time scale that we wished. The other was saying that their indicative cost, and I've got this in writing, would have been between 55 and 60,000, up to 100,000, depending on specification. And then we have the written quote from Status Audiovisual. It's been very difficult to find suppliers who can do this sort of work. We are treading into, very much developing territory.
Right. Okay. Thank you, David. I think we've had a very good discussion, very robust discussion, and I think it's time that we investigated voting on it. John, can you tell me exactly what your proposal was again?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I proposed that
and you are.
I proposed that we went with option C, with your permission and taking on board the debate and the comments made by officers during it, can I suggest a very slight revision to that, which is that we go with option C, that replaces the existing microphone system, but improves it by also giving us the visuals, but that we, which at a cost of £20,000, and we authorise the clerk to, if necessary, make arrangements for a portable piece of kit to be rented in order to facilitate the first meeting of the new council until such time as the new kit has been installed in the town hall.
Right, thank you. I'm quite happy to second that. Does anybody else want to second it instead of me?
Point of order, Chair. A point of order. Will Councillor Sankey's amendment, can that be taken as an amendment to Councillor Hubbard's proposal?
Linda, shall we take that one first, Linda?
No, I don't think that Councillor Sankey's proposal is an amendment to what John's. It's a direct opposite.
No.
So you need to vote on the subsequent motion put by Councillor Sankey and then vote on the motion put by Councillor Hubbard.
Okay, right.
It's not an amendment. It's sort of almost directly opposite. It's like not doing it now, deferring it.
Yes. Okay. So
as I move my motion first, should that not be the motion that is heard first? And if that passes, then it's passed. If it falls, then we could vote whether the next council decides it. But I moved when I first spoke, and I was the first speaker.
You did, yeah.
We proceeded with option C, option 3. So therefore, that motion was on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right.
Can I ask for a recorded vote, please?
I want a recorded vote through. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure that's possible. Christine. Yeah.
1 second. I've got my forms ready. Proposal by Councillor Hubbard. Sorry, who is it seconded by?
Myself.
Councillor Aves, wasn't it?
And it was for options 3.
Yeah.
Option 3 at a cost of £20,000 plus authorising you as clerk to hire in for the
first meeting
between when we order it and when we get it.
Yeah. Should it be required? Yeah.
And it's to be installed in the town hall.
Yes.
So it might mean, let's see, depending how quickly they are and how quickly COVID regulations change, we might need to hire it in more than once because we've got the annual town on the 24th of May.
But it all depends on whether Boris says we can have meetings again. I can't see that happening just yet myself. I think it's
additionally, sorry, through you, Chair. Additionally, let's remember the very sensible suggestion that David made, which is that once the new kit is up and running in the town hall, there is no reason why members of the public who come to the premises could not go into the assembly hall and participate through a Zoom link from the assembly hall.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is no necessity for the public to, you could spread all 15 councillors out in the town hall and the system could manage them, and then the public could attend via the assembly hall if they wanted to come to attend.
Yeah, we've got lots of options open to us, and and at the moment we can't make any decisions on that. But anyway, okay, so the proposals there on the table. So all those in favour?
Well, we're doing a recorded vote.
Oh, you're going to call them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Councillor Aves.
I'm for it.
Councillor Brown is absent. Councillor Fiorelli.
For.
Councillor Hubbard.
For.
Councillor Isles. Councillor Jeffries isn't here, is he?
No.
Councillor Mitcham.
For.
Councillor Payne isn't here. Councillor Sankey.
Against.
Councillor Watts.
I'll abstain, please.
Councillor Welsh.
For.
Councillor Westbrook.
I'm actually going to abstain. Only because I'm not going to be here after May the 4th, 3rd, 4th, whatever it is.
Councillor Wiltshire.
Against?
5 in favour, 2 against and 2 abstentions, so it's carried.
Thank you.
Thank
Right,
you.
that was quite painful actually. But thank you, David, for explaining it all, because before you started talking, I was a little bit confused, and my experience of the system they have at County Hall was, well, that was the only experience I had, actually, apart from what we had in the Town Hall, which, as you say, wasn't very good. Right, okay, so now we're on to the decision on future council meetings, aren't we? Which is kind of done, isn't it?
To be honest, it's quite academic. If you're going to go for that system, I think we can manage either or.
Yes.
It's not government, it's the High Court. This was a judicial review into extending the legislation because the government ignored it back in March, April time. So we'll wait. The High Court want about 7 days. It was heard on the 21st of April. So we're hoping sort of like by the middle of this week, I will know, so I can update members. If we're going for that microphone system and we can hire it in, and we're confident that we can get everything ready if we have to meet physically on the 17th, then my report is really academic.
Okay.
But it was just put in because I didn't know where we were with everything.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. And David, you'll keep us updated on progress.
Yes, of course, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, so the next one is item 8, public use of green spaces. To consider and approve applications for use of Melksham Town Council controlled space and use of King George V Park by local groups. Report to follow. Sorry, I didn't read that report if it did follow. Use of Burnett Road play area green space by residents group for an afternoon tea celebration. Who is going to speak on that? Michael. Yeah, all I can see is your hand. I had to stop and think who it was.
Thank you, Chair. All I'd like to say is to make the point that this, in effect, is public open space, or certainly used as and regarded as. And I think we should be doing everything we can to encourage people to use it without, if we can help it, putting any obstacles or stumbling blocks in the way of that public use. And I'm just concerned that if we're asking for risk assessments and insurance, we may well be preventing sort of some informal use of that public space. And I think we should be doing everything we can to encourage it.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, when you consider that people go to the park and they don't do a risk assessment before they take their kids to the park, do they? All right, John.
Thank you, Chair. I almost 100% agree with Mike, other than where an organisation is using the park for commercial purposes, then I think that they should have to undertake the necessary risk assessments and make sure that, because the council is responsible for what happens there, or could be held responsible for what happens there. So if you've got a commercial provider coming and running exercise classes in the park and somebody injures themselves, and the potentially the council could be responsible for that and you know, could be sued for health and safety stuff because of that. So I think that actually it is necessary that where there are organised activities taking place in the park, we shouldn't put up a barrier to an organisation using it. We shouldn't be stopping organisations from using it, but we should be making sure that anybody who is using the park for an organised purpose is doing so in line with the council's health and safety procedures, and that it doesn't breach the council's own insurance. So I think we do need risk assessments. We do need to know who they are, and they should be asking us for permission to do so. It doesn't mean we say no.
No.
We shouldn't ever really say no unless they're going to do something dangerous, but we've got to make sure that it's being done safely and properly.
Right, thank you. Adrienne?
Yeah, I agree with John, actually. Although I agree with Mike as well, but at the end of the day, if you have an organised group going in that are using it for a commercial reason, we must have risk assessments because it's absolutely vital. I mean, the Food and River Festival go into the park. You wouldn't expect me to set a Food and River Festival up and suddenly I'll have no risk assessments going into the town council, would you? What's the difference between that and, you know, a fitness group going in? I think residents groups who want to use it for afternoon tea to say goodbye to COVID, if you know what I mean, I think that's a very different proposition. I think residents groups ought to be allowed to use the smaller areas, but in KGV, I think it's absolutely vital that we keep a handle on who is using the park, and if they are a commercial company, they have to do risk assessments, and they must have £5 million liability insurance, which they will have if they're a commercial company anyway.
Right. I see David wants to speak and Linda. Who wants to go first?
Can I just say that our insurance would require us to have sight of their public liability. Anyone who is coaching someone in any sport or recreational activity and holding an organised event has to produce a risk assessment and insurance, and also details of their qualifications to teach. If they don't and there's an accident, the town council would be culpable, and our insurance would look straight away, where was the risk assessment from the group? We would end up paying any compensation. All it is a courtesy thing to let us know when it's being used so we can organise other groups. You know, we can't be seen to favour a group, and to make sure that it's safe and that they know that actually, yes, you can use it if you provide all that information, but we can't guarantee that no public will be in the area either. And please respect the public's free use and enjoyment of the park.
Where do we stand if they don't tell us they're going to do it, Linda?
Well, we've had this issue with somebody in town currently, and all we want them to do is to have the courtesy of us telling us when they want to use it, and also provide their risk assessment, evidence of their coaching qualifications, and their insurance and public liability.
That's not too onerous, is it, David?
No. Thank you. Can I defer to Councillor Fiorelli?
Sorry, Vanessa.
Oh, thanks, David. Yeah, thank you. Yes, completely agree with what John and Adrian have said. For me, it's more the commercial aspect of it. You know, those particular organisations, we need to see that risk assessment, and it's more concerning more than anything else that they understand what to do in the event of an emergency. But yeah, Linda, my question really was, more than anything else, you know, do these groups understand that actually the general public take precedent over the use of that park? So the last thing I would want to see or hear about is that, you know, I don't know, someone's doing yoga or something like that, and, you know, some kids are trying to play football and the kids are being told to move out the way because, you know, this group is trying to do yoga. Or, you know, using up all the gym equipment or something like that. So is it right in saying that actually the general public still have precedent over the use of the play area?
Yeah, it is made clear to any group who approaches us and has the courtesy to ask us if it's all right to use the park, that you cannot stop public free right of enjoyment. So, you know, their activity cannot obstruct the public. So they either have to move or take account of that within their risk assessment, and also advise anyone who's in the club or taking part in an activity that they must give way to the public.
Yeah. Right, David, and then Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. There's been a few mentions during the debate this evening of commercial operators, and could I just suggest that you consider that the commerciality of the operator is perhaps not as relevant here, because if a member of the public joins a class or a group, even with a voluntary operator or a social group, if there's any inference of skill or coaching or training or organization, then I think the issues of insurance and coaching skills and risk assessment still applies. For example, the Food and River Festival is a not-for-profit organisation, so it's not making commercial gain out of its use of the park, but still we expect, and rightly so, that insurance is in place and the risk assessment too.
Okay, thanks. Terry?
You spoke about the conflict between the group and the public. in a public space. If, as we hope, the town council would take ownership of the Friends Garden, and this would be, I mean, I think it's always been the idea that after a certain time in the evening, the garden would be locked to stop vagrants or the kids and everything using quite a secluded place. Could it not be offered to groups, you know, to use that space? Just a thought.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We'll just note that down, Terry. I know what I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was there somebody else? Because I was going to ask Mike if he wanted to make any comments on what he's heard.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think what's being proposed by David and John and others is actually a sensible compromise. And if I've understood it correctly, that we should be applying to this to any formal organised group or any kind of commercial activity, but at the same time protecting the right of individuals or group of individuals to hold informal gatherings and events in our public open spaces. So that as I said, I feel is the right compromise.
Right. Okay. So so it's just note, is it, Linda?
No, there's a request to delegate authority to me to actually oversee, make sure we have the right public liability insurance, risk assessments, evidence of coaching certificates of any group that wants to use it, because we might have to coordinate, because we've had several applications or inquiries, let's say.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll propose that.
I'll happily second that.
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, everybody. Right, still funding projects joint working group to form a joint working group comprising ex-members to advise members. Do I need to read all that through?
Surely this has to be deferred till after the election.
Well, the following resolution has already been made, and it's just to note, I think, because you know, yeah, there's nothing we can do until after the elections. Is that right, Linda?
Yeah, I think you've already approved the formation of the SIL funding project.
Yeah. But
this was forwarded to Christine when I was on holiday by Teresa, and I think I think you've already approved the formation, but I think you're right. It would have to be a decision, or obviously the representation would have to be done by the new council. So we'll make sure that's on the annual meeting.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sure we have agreed this already.
Yeah, I can remember discussing it. Yeah. Anyway, okay, thanks for that. Right, item 10, Shernhold Fields Working Party. Adrienne, I know, wants to say something.
I certainly, well, yes. I mean, it's a little bit, for me, as a bit of an addendum onto this. Actually, I've got no objections to any of these for any of these proposals at all. But I am a bit concerned about the watering issues that appear to be up at Shernhold. And I would like to propose to add on to this that we ask the clerk to contact the clerk of Melksham Without Parish Council to use money which is in that maintenance fund to actually buy a Bowser for the Friends of Shernhold Fields. I know they're going to borrow one of ours this week, but that is not a long-term solution because Bloom will be wanting to use that, and it can't go up to Shernhold Fields on a regular basis. Now, nobody knows when water's coming and when we're going to have dry spells, and it's really vital that they have that water, that they have that Bowser. And so I would like to propose that we do ask Linda to contact Teresa to look at the costings involved, and which shouldn't be all that expensive, to buy a portable Bowser for the Friends of Shernhold. And that's just an addendum to go on to this particular item.
Right, John?
I'd like to support that. I'll second that, Adrienne. It's ridiculous that they're having the struggles that they're having up there. I mean, I know that the area board did pay for one of the Bowsers that's used in Melksham, but they are going to be used a lot in the town centre. There was a lot of money given for maintenance up there. This is clearly, the provision of a Bowser is clearly a maintenance issue. And I think, if I might, Adrian, I'd just like to tighten that resolution up slightly and simply say that this council resolves that the maintenance budget should be used to purchase a Bowser, and ask the clerk to make the necessary arrangements with Melksham Without, rather than to ask them to think about it.
Yeah, I'm happy for it to be resolved. So that's absolutely fine with me, John. As long as it actually happens within, and it has to actually happen within the next few weeks, because our planting will be going in. And when our plants go in the town centre, there will be no availability of our Bowser at all.
No, and it's ridiculous. I was up there. I regularly go up there with Lottie to walk, and I was up there, and the poor guys who were looking after stuff, they were towing a little trailer with pond lining in it that they'd filled with water to effectively do a makeshift Bowser of their own, which really is not acceptable. So
not when there's that amount of money in the maintenance fund.
Yeah. So can we add with some urgency, please, Linda?
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Yeah, Terry, yeah.
If you're talking about a small Bowser to be bought, can we please say, do not buy another one like the town council bought last year, which is hugely heavy. Nobody can lift it up or move it. The one that Bloom has, we bought a good few years ago. It's had a new pump, it's had a new battery, and it is relatively easy to use. That's it.
Thanks. That's useful information, Terry.
Yeah.
Terry,
tell us. And I'd just like to say thank you to you at this point for supplying the Bowser. Thank you very much for saving the day.
Yeah, if I could just say something, I've put in place a slightly alternative provision for watering in the town centre this year. We've bought a 1,000-litre tank that we can stick on the back of the pickup, and we're going to use the water pump that's currently on one of those little Bowsers to help water the town centre. So that's why we could lend Chernow Fields the existing one that we've got.
Feel better if they've got their own, Hugh.
Yeah, until they've got their own.
It's much better for them to have their own.
Can I just ask a question? If that Bowser that we're going to offer them, do we ever need it if you've got that? And could we sell it to them?
Yes.
Just a thought.
Are you talking about the green Bowser?
Big one, yeah, not the one that Bloom used.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Yeah. We need to check with the Friends of Chernhold Field first.
Yeah,
check. I don't know where they're going to store it, but that's another story.
Yeah, say. Well, there will be a storage shed up there eventually, Vanessa. Right. John first, and then Vanessa.
Okay. Can I just suggest, rather than selling it to them, I quite like having redundancy every now and then. So when something goes wrong, we've got something else we can rely on. So I wonder if we could lend them that one whilst the new one, they organise the finances and procuring one for themselves. And then the one we've lent them comes back, we can put it somewhere safe and it's available for us or other community groups to use if something goes wrong. It's our emergency backup.
Yeah.
I do think, I really do agree with Adrienne on this one. I think it's better if they have one for themselves that they own, and then it removes any confusion. But there's a spare one there that's available, and other community groups, like for instance the Primrose Drive group, if they had an extreme need at one occasion where they wanted to borrow it, the town council's got something there that a community group could use.
Yes. Okay. Vanessa, did you want to speak or have you spoken?
No, I've said my bit. It's fine.
Okay, thanks. Right. And the rest of that item is just to note anyway.
Can I have a resolution? I mean, council's already set aside the money for this car park. There was a slight change to the plan because of a gas pipeline. And that's basically, I just want to make sure that councils are happy with the plan as is contained in the agenda. There is a slight difference. It's just a belt and braces, really. So if I can have a resolution Council's agreed that the architect's instructed, but then he's obviously done a plan identifying the gas main, and then for him to pay him for the final design. We might not get the topographical survey from Persimmon, so we might have to pay for one of them, and to go out to tender contract. I mean, you've already agreed the cost, the budget for the car park. This is just seeking council approval, belt and braces, really.
I was quite happy to propose that with the addition of this Bowser issue.
Yeah, and I'll second it.
I was going to say, I'm sure somebody will second it.
Yeah, I'll second it. And all those in favour, please. Thank you very much. Right. We've now got a confidential session. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask.
Pat, you need to read the whole thing out.
Oh, do I? Right. Members are requested to make the following resolution in accordance with the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960. In view of the sensitive nature of the business to be transacted, it is advisable in the public interest that the public and press be excluded, and they are instructed to please withdraw.
We need to vote that.
Oh, right. Yeah, I propose that. Who's seconding it? Right.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. And goodbye to Bruce and Miriam and Ben, he's already gone, and Joe and Pam, if that is Pam there. I think it might not be. And David. Yes, David, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just a reminder to switch to YouTube off before you go into confidential session.
Yeah, I'll do it now.
And I shall bid you all good night.
Thank you.
Are you turning it off, Linda, or do I turn it off?
You'll have to turn it off.